This movie was great, but there are flaws. And what is the thing that I hated in the movie? To the extent that I say to myself, be patient, a little one. The characters will die. Scream 6 as a movie absolutely broke me. As a long-term Scream fan, this was something. I wasn't expecting that to happen again with any of the new movies. After being royally disappointed with Scream 2022, I didn't approach this movie with any expectations. Despite me having some positives about the movie, I have my issues as well, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking all of this down for you guys. What's the story? In Scream 6, Tara, Jenna Ortega, and her friends Mindy and Chad have moved to New York City following the terrible events of Scream. Tara's older sister, Sam, has tagged along and is putting a crimp in Tara's social life with her overprotectiveness. Nevertheless, they're all sharing a house with some new roommates. Mindy has a new girlfriend, and they're all trying to move on. Unfortunately, the terror of Ghostface isn't finished with them yet, and they start to experience deadly new attacks. Mindy tries to establish the rules this time, while police detective Bailey and Kirby Reed, who's now with the FBI, discover that the new killer is referencing all of the previous killers. So Tara and her friends must prepare for what they hope will be one final showdown. What is the thing that I hated in the movie? In Scream 6, the characters are stabbed and don't die, at least suffer any damage. You feel that the bodies of characters like Superman are not affected. Jenna Ortega is stabbed and continues to run normally. This thing bothered me a lot, but overall the movie is excellent. Does it bother you that the characters are not dead? Or what is the thing that bothered you in the movie? And what is the thing that you liked? Is it any good? While this slasher sequel is bogged down by complicated lore and is far more brutal than it is actually scary, the strong characters and an effective mystery come together to make it a cut above. Fans of the franchise will likely want to re-watch the previous 5 movies before tackling Scream 6, as it has many references to them. In the last movie, 2022 Scream, Mindy cleverly proclaimed that they were in a recall, but here her efforts to establish the rules are headache-inducing. Additionally, perhaps as the result of the number of kills getting ramped up, each one lacks the suspense it might have had, with the exception of a terrific extended sequence on the subway. Still, filmmakers Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett of the Radio Silence Collective do manage to use their 123-minute running time to more deeply explore the characters and their relationships. We can feel their trauma and their wounds and easily empathize with them. Plus, not only is the mystery in screamVI satisfying and clever, but it's also a logical extension of the previous movie. There actually was a good reason for another sequel. It's more than just a stab in the dark. One of the flaws in the movie? With all of the violence and the big cast of characters, not everyone is going to be safe. And I'm not even going to tell you who lives or dies, but there are moments in this film just as there were in number 5, when the characters have some really powerful protection. People get some injuries and wounds that they really shouldn't be able to walk away from, and yet they do. This is both noticeable and bothersome, because sometimes characters feel like they could just be invincible. I don't want that. I want any and all of the characters to be able to experience peril, that there are risks being undertaken that could reduce the number of characters that we're following. And I'm not saying that every character has this protection from harm, but there are distinct times when a character should not be up and walking around after the type of wound that they suffer, and there are also times when a character with a weapon just doesn't use it when they should. And that's frustrating, but again, it pointed plot and character protection, allowing the sequence to continue so that the desired outcome can be achieved. This Ghostface is indeed much more vicious and bloodthirsty than any previous iteration before, not so much stabbing as brutalizing each victim. And it's a trend that's really carried over from the last movie. Because the self-aware streak runs very long in this franchise, we also get a new set of rules not based on a sequel or a trilogy or reboot or any of the stuff we've heard in the past, but an acknowledgement that we are now in a full-blown franchise, so it seems like there is no plan for this to be the last film in the Scream series. What is my rate? So in the end, even though when this movie was announced, I was disappointed and I didn't think it should be made, I was very pleasantly surprised at how much fun I had while I was watching. There's an enormous amount of thrills and unease that's present, creating an atmosphere of urgent dread that is then paid off by a lot of brutal kills. The actors convincingly portray fearful and tormented characters, but ones that are willing to use their heads and fight back rather than cower in a corner, which then creates a lot of exciting action and mystique for the plot. The runtime is noticeable, and there's a lot of protection the characters receive to just shield them from harm at various points. But all in all, the misdirection pays off, creating a narrative that is both suspenseful and earned, while also delivering spectacularly gruesome deaths. If you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll really enjoy this latest entry. And if you're like me and you weren't looking forward to it, you may find yourself just as surprised as I was. And it's far from a perfect film, but it's still a lot of fun.